Yeah, good morning. Yeah, thanks for joining. We are here today, obviously here for Introduction to Gradforce event. Really lovely for you to be joining us this morning. And we've joined here with Sophie, Amber, Louise, Ben and Katie. Gradforce is from the Canterbury Christ Church University, and obviously they'll be talking to you today all about what they can offer you, how it can benefit your business, and what's available. Short and sweet introduction really from me. Just to let you know, my name's Molly. I'm here from Kent and Medway Chamber of Commerce, and we've partnered up with Christ Church University for this, for the Gradforce programme as well. So without further ado, I will hand over to Sophie. Sophie is the Director of Enterprise and Employability.
Thanks, Molly. Yeah, morning everyone. And we were debating on whether to say Happy New Year, so I'll say it anyway, and welcome. I don't know much about the businesses you're in, but one of the things that I wanted to do to introduce this project is explain, how it can benefit you guys. So a couple of years ago, I actually met with Joe James, the Chief Exec of the Kent and Medway Chamber of Commerce, when we were thinking of putting in a bid to the Office for Students for funding for a project to help SMEs recruit really good staff and to help them create a really diverse workforce. And one of the things that I asked Joe was, what is really important to SMEs when they're recruiting? And she said, most SMEs don't have the time or the supporting infrastructure to recruit really good staff. So anything that would help them do that would be really welcome. So that got us thinking about maybe putting together some sort of graduate training scheme for SMEs so that we can not only help you recruit really good staff, but also accelerate their training and development and induction into your organisation. And the other thing that Joe said to me was that for many SMEs, qualifications, whilst they're important, are less important than attitude and work ethic. And so my colleagues, who I'll introduce shortly, one of the things that they're going to be doing with our students is instilling that work ethic. And they've put together an amazing programme called Get Hired, which helps our students acquire those sort of skills, behaviours, knowledge and attitudes to make them great employees. So I'm gonna introduce you to my colleagues who are the Gradforce team. And apologies if my cat makes a guest appearance, which I think she's about to do. Sorry about that. Can you all hear me okay? Can everyone still hear? It's all right. I thought she'd pressed an awful button on the screen. So yeah, just want to introduce my colleagues. So about just over a year ago, we appointed Louise Gotch to manage the project. We've got Amber and Katie, who are the two project coordinators working with employers and working with students, and Ben, who's with us as a graduate trainee. So I'm not going to say much more other than that Gradforce the project has been going for a year. The team managed to switch very quickly to delivering everything online for our students, and obviously continue to network with SMEs. And Louise will and her colleagues will tell you more about the project. And because we're a small group, there's the opportunity to ask questions throughout. So either use the chat or raise your hand. So without more ado, I'm going to hand over to Louise and have a good session.
Thank you, Sophie. Good morning. My name is Louise Gotch and I'm the project manager for the Gradforce project. And this, as Sophie said, this project is funded by the Office for Students as part of their challenge competition to help students transition into good graduate employment. What that actually means from them is graduate models over the years just haven't worked. They're no longer fit for purpose, and they certainly haven't worked for underrepresented groups. And in the team presentations, a little bit later, you'll see the statistics that underpin that. So what the OFS, the Office for Students, who used to be HEFKE, if you're familiar with education governance, are looking for is a model for SMEs and for students, and to enable students to access graduate employment, and for SMEs to have access to the best talent pool that's available coming out of universities that fit their criteria. And that model and has never existed. So Gradforce is developing that model, and alongside SMEs and students, hopefully we will have a model that works for both, really. So my team will take you through the work that we're doing with employers. Katie and Amber will talk about the work that we're doing with students, and Ben will talk about the work that we're doing with our unfortunate graduates of 2020 who graduated in COVID, which is not great for them. So my final slide is why. Well, there are 66,000 businesses in Kent that are SMEs. Kent has the highest amount of SMEs in the whole country, and in fact the whole UK, and the majority are micro businesses, not 0 to 9 employees, and in the private sector. A lot of located outside towns. The infrastructure can be quite poorly served by public transport, but that is improving. Our students, 37% of our students are from low participation socioeconomic areas, 12% with disability, 10% identifying as Black, and in fact our cohort this year, that's higher. Progression rates into graduate employment for those particular groups consistently and historically is very poor, despite quite often excelling in their degrees above their other counterparts. So that needs to change. So move into employment after graduating, but they're not actually getting offered the jobs that match their skills. And that's what Gradforce is here to do, is to change that dynamic and work with you SMEs to ensure that you're getting the right talent from us that matches the skills that you need and enables our students to access those jobs as well. So I'm going to hand you over to Katie, who will talk a little bit about why we're doing this and what work we're doing with our employees and students.
Hi everybody, so just following on, picking up on what Louise said, to talk a bit more about the why before I kind of tell you a bit more about the model that we're working to. So we have recognised that as a university we do need to do more for our students, particularly those students that are coming from underrepresented groups, and our overall aim is to ensure that those students are able to succeed not only in their studies but also thrive in their life after graduation. And just to kind of pick up on a few of the specific challenges faced from the groups that we're working with, so those from a BAME background, those with disability, mental health issues and so on. These are just a few of the statistics that we've found when we've been researching this. That perhaps they won't come as a surprise, but they are nonetheless quite alarming. So people from minority backgrounds having to submit 60% more applications than their white counterparts to get essentially the same job. People with a disability being twice as likely to be unemployed. And obviously most people are aware that there's quite a lot of stigma surrounding mental health, and a large proportion of graduates do believe that that is something that will hinder their chances of getting their first graduate job. And just to kind of talk a bit about why we really want to work with SMEs, obviously as Sophie and Louise mentioned, the whole idea of the project is that we work specifically with local SMEs to create more graduate jobs in the Kent and Medway area. So we're really looking to kind of form close relationships with businesses such as yourselves to kind of improve access to jobs and improve the amount of graduate opportunities available to our graduates and to our graduates from those underrepresented groups. And I mean, I think one of the things we realise is that SMEs, they don't necessarily have a defined graduate scheme or programme like a lot of the big corporate companies do have, but it's very likely that you're still able to offer a level of job that would be suitable for a graduate, and that's really what we want to start working with you on. So moving on kind of to what we can offer you. So obviously you're attending this session today, and this session forms part of our Get Ahead training for SMEs specifically, and that training is kind of looking to work with you to tackle the fears and the barriers that our graduates are facing. And I'll go a lot more in detail on this in a second, but the main part of the project, as we've said, is to get our graduates into graduate employment. So we are working on a bespoke recruitment service that will essentially be a matchmaking service. So something that's a little different to what you may be used to in terms of recruitment agencies or advertising jobs in the past. We're looking to kind of match what your needs are with those skills that the graduates we have will have. So just to, hopefully a lot of you will have seen this schedule as you've signed up to this session, but this session essentially forms the first part of our webinar series. And the webinar series as a whole kind of works in parallel to the programme that we put our graduates through. So there's a lot of stuff about focusing on the issues that are faced by the underrepresented groups that we work with. So obviously things surrounding race and unconscious bias and visible and invisible disabilities. So this really, if you haven't signed up for any of our other sessions yet, we definitely recommend that you take a look and sign up, because these are all free for you to attend. Now, before I go on to this, I did want to ask a question about whether either Werner or sorry, I'm just looking at your names, Tatenda or Vanessa or John. I just wanted to ask a quick question, whether or not you've ever recruited a graduate before straight out of university. I don't know if anyone just wants to quickly nod or speak. No, that's fine. I suppose if anyone's happy to, what might be useful is just, if you haven't previously recruited a graduate, obviously you're here at this session today, so it must be something that you're perhaps thinking about. So I suppose what I would like to ask is if there are any sort of fears or questions that you have that would make you think, or maybe recruiting a graduate might not be the best idea. Is there anything that perhaps has stopped you in the past from recruiting a graduate?
Well, from our side, we're an SME with about 100 employees in Kent, but there are a few graduates within the business, but we didn't necessarily come to the business for that with those degrees being a key part of our experience. We're manufacturing, so because of that, we've traditionally, I guess, thought, well, graduates wouldn't necessarily look in our area. As the digital market has changed, as our own market has changed, I think that now has to open up our thinking.
Okay, and so from the graduates that you have in your company, I mean, would you say you've had a very positive experience from that? Do you feel like they've brought something to the organisation that perhaps someone,
like with most things, it's a mixed bag. Some yes, some no, but generally yes. Okay,
good. That's good to hear. I mean, kind of my reason for asking that really is that I think there are quite a lot of preconceptions about hiring graduates who are straight out of university. I've put a few of them on the screen here, but I won't go into too much detail, but they're sort of self-explanatory. But it is that notion that, you know, everyone's got a degree, so what is really the value of it these days? And then certainly from an SME perspective, the idea that, you know, we're only an SME, we don't have jobs that are for graduates, because lots of people think of as a graduate role as one of those big graduate schemes that corporate companies want. But what we're trying to kind of get across is that that doesn't have to be the case. Like, it's likely that within your organisations you do have jobs that graduates could fill with the skills that they have, and that we can kind of help you with that, and that we can prepare our graduates so that they're able to hit the ground running when they join you. And then another element is, I think, probably within the local area, an idea that a lot of graduates they're not going to stick around here. They want a graduate job, they're going to go off to London and search for jobs elsewhere. But actually, quite a large percentage, and I can't remember the exact percentage off the top of my head, but quite a lot of graduates stay within the area that they were originally from. And with our graduates, a huge proportion of them are originally from the Kent and Medway area, so they're going to be sticking around. So they're there for you to kind of to take as you wish. And then just a few more here. So again, we kind of talked about it, graduates only working for big businesses, and you know, I wouldn't employ someone with a Mickey Mouse degree, because I think again there's perhaps a perception that any old degree nowadays is not worth so much because so many people have them. But actually it's the transferable skills that businesses need, as opposed to the specifics of the degree that they've undertaken. And yeah, so talking about that again a bit in terms of that idea that why would you recruit a graduate straight out of university if you could recruit somebody who's already got experience and could perhaps slot straight in to the job with their prior knowledge and prior work experience. And one of the things that we're trying to do with our project is to kind of condense that period in the beginning of where, yes, they're fresh out of university, perhaps they don't have a great deal of that level of work experience, but we're sort of preparing them so that they can hit the ground running. And we're kind of cutting down really your the induction period that you would need to have with them, because we're giving them those skills so that they can join you at a level that perhaps is more advanced than you would expect. And as well as that, you know, they do bring a lot. They definitely bring sort of new ideas and ways of thinking, and they do gain a lot of skills from their studies, a lot of resilience, a lot of ability to multitask, team working and so on. And they have sort of no preconceived ideas about what can and can't be done in the workplace. So they kind of, you can sort of mould them to fit in with your organisation and like the culture and the ethics of your organisation. And again, sort of in terms of the types of roles, a lot of people do think of, as I said, the big graduate recruitment schemes, and obviously I think a lot of students perhaps in their minds when they start university, that's what they think that they want. But actually I think there comes a time when people realise that working for a smaller company, they actually will have a bigger scope of work, and that they can kind of turn their hand to lots of different tasks. So rather than just learning one specific area of work perhaps very thoroughly, we're kind of multi-skilling them, and within a small organisation they could do a bit of HR or a bit of office admin or a bit of finance. So it's a great way of kind of giving them a great experience, but also giving you sort of somebody who can cover quite a bigger scope of work. So I suppose another question I have is that how, if somebody doesn't mind sort of talking a bit about how they would normally go about their recruitment processes. So do people normally use recruitment agencies, or do they advertise in-house?
we tend to use recruitment agencies, particularly for the more skilled roles and the more senior roles, but generally use employment agencies throughout because it allows us to filter as we go. That's been the historic route. But we have tried to work more locally. We haven't thought of dealing with you guys until we got the invite, but we tended to work more in the Maidstone area because that's where we're based.
Yeah. Okay, and generally speaking, your experience of working with recruitment agencies, has that been a positive one?
The ones we still work with, yes.
Okay. Fair point. Okay, that's interesting to know. So you would spend money normally on recruiting through an agency?
Yeah.
Okay. So just to talk a bit more in detail then about our offer and how we want to have our recruitment process essentially working. It's a very bespoke service, and we sort of refer to it as matchmaking, because what we want to do is work very closely with the SME, but also work very, very closely with the students to kind of essentially match them together. So we'll talk a bit more in detail about exactly how we're doing that for our students a bit later, but it's essentially kind of in-depth, getting an in-depth understanding of what you require and the skills that our graduates have, and then kind of being able to match you and them together so that we're kind of doing that filtering out process for you, so that you're not receiving hundreds of applications that are mostly not suitable. We'll work in depth with you to understand the needs of your organisation and the roles that you have to fill, and whether that's you having a specific role that you very much know, I want to recruit a marketing coordinator and that's the role that I want, or it might just be we really quite like the idea of having a graduate but we're not quite sure what role it could be and what that would look like. So we can work with you to kind of help you define what that role will be, help you with writing job adverts and job specifications, and really getting an in-depth understanding of what exactly it is that you need and what you're looking for. And then we would look to match you with the students and graduates that we will be working very closely with, to give you kind of the best possible options from the offset, so you don't have to kind of do that filtering process. And then if you're successful in finding somebody from our pool of talent, then we will continue to provide ongoing support for you, but also for them in their first months of employment, because obviously we understand that they are a newly graduated individual and that they might need a bit more support, and perhaps you as an SME might not have had necessarily that much experience of recruiting a graduate. So we're kind of there to help and advise you with how to deal with things that might arise that you might not have encountered before, and to continue to provide that support for the graduates so that they're in the best possible position to thrive in your organisation. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Does that all make sense? Okay, so we're going to move on now to just kind of what it will cost. Obviously, as you said, John, you use recruitment agencies, so you're aware that there is a cost associated with having an agency do your recruitment for you. And so what we want to do, because of the bespoke nature of what we're trying to do, there does have to be a cost associated to it. But what we want to offer is something that we consider to be an extremely competitive price, and anybody who has recruited through a recruitment agency would hopefully know that this is a much more competitive price than what you would get elsewhere. So what we would be offering this service for would be £600 per graduate recruited, and this would include the full matchmaking recruitment service that I've just spoken about, also support through that entire process as much as you need, so through defining the role, writing job adverts, job descriptions, helping you through the interview process, and then also that ongoing support once you have recruited. And then in addition to that, much like the sessions that we're putting on now through the chamber, we'll also be looking to offer additional free or very discounted training and events for you and your employees if you sign up with us to recruit. Okay, so obviously do let me know now if you have any questions. There will be an opportunity for many more questions at the end. But what I'm going to do now is pass over to my colleague Amber, and she's just going to give you much more detail about our student programme, so you can get a sense of how it is that we are actually preparing them for work, so that you can feel confident that we are kind of making them work ready, if you like.
Okay, fantastic, fab. Thank you, Katie. So yes, my name is Amber, and I'm sort of leading on developing our student programme. So I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail on the next slide. So essentially what we've come up with is something called Get Hired. So obviously you came to this event today knowing that it's called Get Ahead, and our student programme is called Get Hired. So essentially we began developing this about a year ago, and we've been trying to encourage final year students to get involved with Gradforce by setting up this new student facing brand about a year ago. And essentially, it came at probably quite a difficult time for us, as we had a lot of interest from students who were looking for support, as they knew that their graduation was coming up, and they're interested in knowing what they can do in order to sort of further their applications and make sure they can secure a place at a graduate workplace at an SME. So what we've been doing is sort of trialling an employability boot camp, and we did this in June, and it was quite a difficult task, because originally we had planned to do all of our sessions face to face in our sort of conference venue in Augustine House on campus, and overnight we had to turn it into a digital and virtual event. However, this didn't sort of decrease our impact. We were able to sort of register around 600 sign-ups to our employability sessions, seeing that there is definitely a need out there from our students to have support from us. So we managed to cover lots of key employability skills and digital skills. So we ran about 3 weeks worth of workshops that included things such as a growth mindset workshop to business acumen and commercial awareness. We also trained people in digital skills from Adobe Photoshop to Microsoft Office skills as well. And we evaluated that bootcamp and had a look at what of those sessions were the most impactful on the students' journey to actually becoming as employable as possible when they graduated. So we were able to look at those sessions, evaluate which ones were most popular but also most impactful on our students who then got graduate roles. And then we decided to sort of tone it down and make a sort of more concise programme that has a logical journey with 5 core topics, and chose to just work with 60 students. So the benefit of doing this is, as Katie mentioned, by working with 60 students, if we could go back a slide, that'd be great, because I'll show the image again. So by working with 60 students, we get to work specifically with those students to understand what their strengths are, how we can help them further and build their confidence and ensure that they are ready as individuals for the graduate workplace. We get to know them personally, and we're particularly deciding to work with students who are from underrepresented groups. So from that we mean BAME students, so Black, Asian, minority ethnic students, students who have disabilities, whether they be visible or invisible, and first generation students many of our students at Canterbury Christ Church have never been to, they're the first in their family to come to university. So it is a new experience for them as well, and they may not necessarily know what the expectation is of them when they graduate and go into a new workplace. So essentially these are the adverts that we put out to our students, and it's been very successful. We're well on our way to having 60 students join our programme, and like I said, whilst we're on that, as sort of one of the lead trainers, and Katie as a lead trainer as well, we'll be getting to know those students very well and understanding exactly what it is that they would like to do when they come out of university, and hopefully being able to work with yourselves to be able to match those graduates that we have to your graduate roles. So yeah, if we move forward then, I'll talk a little bit about the topics that we're looking at. So I said in this programme, we'll be looking at 5 topics that the successful applicants must attend. So essentially on our programme, we'll be running it virtually, as we have to do in these very crazy times. And we run it alongside their university timetables. Obviously, students actually can't come to university right now because of the new lockdown, but that hasn't thrown any spanners in the works, because we all planned to be able to deliver these on Zoom and our Blackboard, just like we're doing now. Essentially what we're going to cover is we're going to start on our journey by looking at growth mindset. So who do you think you are? Looking at how we can move students from a fixed mindset where they are possibly showing sort of negative self-belief traits and moving them into growth mindset. One of the huge problems that we see in the student population is that they just don't believe in themselves. So we start off with who do you think you are, and then we move on to Belbin team roles. And I'm sure that there will be quite a few of you maybe in the room who know what Belbin is, that it's sort of as a psychology of looking at team role behaviour. I was recently trained in Belbin, and essentially we're going to be giving free Belbin reports to our students and helping them to understand what their strengths are in the workplace and how they can manage their weaknesses. And hopefully by knowing what those strengths and weaknesses are, they're able to sort of manage them as they put it into their graduate job applications. We'll also be talking about personal branding for our sessions on the story of you, which is essentially looking at sort of the key components of what makes a personal brand and helping them to learn and identify what their personal values are. And we will definitely be looking at elevator pitches in those sessions and building up that confidence further. And then we move on to the recruitment cycle, which is probably one of the most important parts of this training, which is ensuring that our graduates are confident and submitting brilliant, high standard applications when it is coming to applying for your graduate roles. So we'll be making sure that we're going through their CVs in thorough detail, their cover letters, they're trained on how to do interviews, whether that be virtual or in person, and also how they deal with the result of that interview or the result of the application, because taking rejection is pretty hard as well. So we want to make sure we build that confidence even further, and that's delivered in 3 parts. So that's a very important part of our programme. And then we finish with professionalism in the workplace, which hopefully just says what it is really. It's about promoting that good etiquette in the workplace, and we know that by doing all of these 5 topics that we're going to have a well-rounded graduate coming out of this course. So I'm really excited about this programme. And so moving on, essentially we're also offering some additional sessions which match the types of sessions that you will also be going through as an employee if you choose to attend more of our Get Ahead sessions. So you'll be able to see some of the subjects that we're actually going through with our own graduates. So things like supporting the workplace, visible and invisible disabilities, which is led by one of our managers, Charlotte Good, and this is a great session on actually being able to understand how you can support a graduate who has a disability, and it really sort of breaks down quite a lot of myths and barriers. So I would really recommend signing up for these as well. We'll be supporting our own students obviously in these, as well as a mindset to growth course to ensure that you know, our students are sort of digging even deeper into making sure they are on the track to developing a full growth mindset. We'll also be looking at closing the gap. So a Let's Talk About Race session, which is very powerful. At the moment, we have a lot of BAME students attending our course, and we want to make sure that they've got equal opportunity to graduate roles as any other graduate. And we'll also be looking at workplace resilience and strengths and accomplishments. So there's a lot going on in our student sessions, but as I was saying, you know, these are totally matched by the training that we're offering for employers, and it gives you the perspective to see what the students are going through themselves and the barriers that they have faced in order to get to where they are now. Thank you. So great, so this is what some of our graduates have to say. So we did have quite a few graduates who took part in our programme, and they're thriving now. As you can see on the left, we have Taylor, who's currently working at AXA in the UK, and we have Amy, who's now working as an EFL teacher and a social media manager. So a lot of these students, you know, just have to recognise some of them can be quite nervous when they join something like this, but seeing their transformations over the past year and how confident they are now at joining the graduate workplace and seeing all of that sort of development over the last year has been really inspiring, and I hope that you will be able to come on this journey with us and see it for yourselves. So thank you very much. I'll pass over to Ben.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining today. I'm really glad that you're all here. Like Amber said, I'm Ben Odera. I'm the graduate trainee at Canterbury Christ Church, and particularly the Gradforce team. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about my experience being a graduate trainee and working with Gradforce and just learning from them. So previously, before the Gradforce program had been enacted, I was working as a graduate trainee within the university. But even before that, I was working at my local co-op, and it was a job. I was doing my master's at the time, and it was really hard. I didn't know which direction I wanted to take or how I wanted to get to my next step. All I knew was just that I just wanted to keep on learning. I wanted to keep on studying. I really wanted to adapt and learn from the workforce. And one of the things I'm really grateful for Gradforce is just that working with Katie, Amber, and Louise has really given me the direction and the focus. And for me, my degree was in creative writing, so it wasn't really adjacent to what I'm doing now. But one thing that I really enjoyed within my degree was just that I really like supporting other people. I really liked helping them, really helped building them up. And one of the things that really stuck with me, in particular with working with the Gradforce team, is just the ethos of just helping students, helping the people who didn't really have they really didn't have that structure or that or their ability to just really get into that workforce at first. And one of the things that I really like about the Gradforce program is just that we're helping the students from the underrepresented groups. We're helping them just really be their best selves. And one of the things that I know that I've certainly developed during my time with Gradforce is just that my own ability to just ask and just do things of my own volition, because previously I was very nervous. I didn't really have the confidence in myself to really do a lot, really. And one of the things that Gradforce and particularly the people within my team really helped me with is just having that confidence to really go forward and just believe in my own work ethic. I think especially with the pandemic, one thing that I just haven't really had the time for is just to really question myself, because I know that the need is out there for lots of other students, because as of right now, the job market for graduates is very up in the air at the moment. It is so much harder for our 2020 graduates to really get where they want to be. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. If we could just go to the next slide. to the Alumni Comeback Program. So like it says there, our 2020 graduates have been affected immensely by COVID-19. I was actually talking to one of my friends who is in their final year of university, and they were like, I don't know if I should take a master's or what I'm going to do, because the job market's so bad right now. It's going to take me forever to get a job. And right now, it's exactly what's said on the slide. The graduate jobs are in shorter supply, and many graduates are feeling lost. And I know what that feeling is like, and I know what it's like to just not really know what the next step is. And one of the things that we're planning to do with Gradforce is just to get in touch with all of our recent graduates and just offer our help in whatever capacity that they need. So it can be in terms of career guidance, it could be CV and application support, anything from that range, because right now they've done what they think is the hardest bit of their lives. They've finished their degree, and props to them. That's still a massive achievement. But unfortunately, there comes another bit, and it means getting into the workforce now, and that in itself is another big challenge. And they've always had their peers, they've always had their tutors, they've always had everyone to be there for them in the academic side, but we need to give them a little bit more support on the more professional side as well. So that is why we're going to be offering our hand and just helping them when it comes to just applying for different roles. Of course, we're focusing on the local side, like Katie and Amber said. We're focusing on the SMEs and roles that will locally help them obtain even more experience and just match with them with the skills and what the employer needs. Because as of right now, we want to focus on having a tailor-made service just that can match both the student and the employer together, and that hopefully we can make a perfect match. And honestly, when I think about where I was at the beginning, when I first started at Gradforce as to where I am now, I'm very happy that I was just able to work with the Gradforce team and just and they took me underneath their wing, because I have learned so much from them in terms of just communication skills and just honestly my work ethic, and honestly just my own just emotional intelligence has really grown, because day after day I've just met students who were in the exact same position as I am. And because of Gradforce, I've been able to reach out to these students, really talk to them, and really just help them out as well. So I just want to thank the people in the Gradforce team for that, because I know that if it wasn't for them, I'd be a lot less confident in who I am now. And that's pretty much it for me.
We didn't actually pay him to say that either, so thanks, Ben.
No worries.
That's great. Okay, Katie, do you want to move on to the next? So does anybody have any questions? Thank you to the team for delivering that amazing presentation. I'm lucky I've got such a great team, and we have such an amazing cohort of students as well that we're about to work with and reconnect with as well, as Ben said. So it's been a difficult year for all of us, I think, employers, students, and us as employers as well. And I just wanted to, sort of reiterate that we do understand how difficult things are for everybody right now. So we're not here about a hard sell, we're just here about wanting as many employers and students on our Gradforce programme so that we can get those local jobs for local graduates and keep our county going, as it were. Most of our students, like I said, it's 87% of Kent graduates from CCCU stay in Kent or want to stay in Kent. So our model is unique. We're also a training provider, supplier and recruiter, which is a unique model. So you don't need to go anywhere else. You can come to us. We're a university. We should be delivering training to employers as well as students, and we should be able to find you the right employees to meet your needs. So thank you very much. So if anyone's got any questions, please fire away or put them in the chat.
Can I just add something, Louise?
Of course, yeah.
I suppose I just really wanted to say that obviously we are here, and as Louise said, we're not trying to do a hard sell. We are just trying to kind of talk to you about the benefits of what we're doing. But I suppose the other side of it is that, you know, this is all very new. This is a new model and not something that's really been done before. And we're kind of learning as we go and finding our feet. And we don't want to offer you something that you don't want, or in a way that you don't want. So it's really useful just to even have feedback as to what it is that we're trying to do, to kind of, we need businesses to kind of also help shape how we go about doing this, really. So this is kind of where we're at, and this is what we're really trying to do, and we think it's a great thing to kind of help you and also help all of our graduates. But if anyone has any thoughts or ideas, or you know, just general feedback about what we can do, then I think just that is really valuable in itself. So even if you don't have a role that you can offer right now, just something to kind of give us an idea of whether or not this would be something that you would be at any point interested in would be just super helpful.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Verna.
Hi, Verna.
Hi there. I'm not quite sure if you can hear me very well. I've been having sort of some internet connection issues. But before I get on to my question, I think I just really want to say thank you to all of you for doing what you're doing. You know, I think it's a value added sort of service in the community to the generation that would be sort of, you know, the future. But to be honest, I woke up this morning not feeling, you know, too great, I guess, mentally. There's a lot happening. And I thought to myself, well, you know, don't get on that call, you know, you're not feeling very well. But I'm glad I came. I felt I came because I thought I need some help in my small startup business. But I'm just so encouraged by the work that you do, you know. So it's listening to you has really kind of sort of helped me. So you know, just thank you for that. But I guess I did have a question, and that was that, yes, I have a very small business that, you know, the revenue in this current climate is tough, as slow, as weak, as poor, and I'm, because it's a startup business, I don't really know how it would have performed if we didn't have COVID-19, because it's not been tested. I'm new in the market. But I think one of the things I'd like to do is, because I know I need help in a particular area in my business, I'm willing to sort of sacrifice, you know, my small bit of salary to be able to help, you know, a student, someone out there who is wanting to get into, you know, the labor force market, and that could, you know, at the same time sort of help me. Yeah, that's it. I don't know if that was a question, but anyway, yes.
And I think that sort of captures the essence really of the work and that we want to be doing with SMEs. I mean, we want to be enhancing your business, and the point of having the matchmaking service is so that we know that we can do that, because we will ensure that the students that we're working with actually match what you need. You know, we have an amazing business school, amazing marketing students, and all of that sort of thing. So it's looking at working with you as a business to see where your crucial needs are to develop and enhance that business, whether it's a small business or, you know, a larger 100 employer marketing business, where your gaps are, and where we can fill those gaps. And because we know our students and our alumni sort of comeback program, we will be working with those 2020 graduates as well. We can, you know, then put forward, better to have 3 students that match what you need than 30 students from a recruitment agency that you have to sift through, because we do that work for you. But what we'll also do is to work with you to see where your gaps are, what you need to enhance your business. And so absolutely, Werner, that's what we're about, is to ensure that, you know, most of the SMEs are startups, or certainly started as a startup. So, and part of our boot camp last year, we had a Q&A panel, and 3 on the panel was startup businesses, and gave amazing advice to students. And so, yes, I mean, that's the point of Gradforce, is to the matchmaking service, is to make sure that we source the right talent pool to meet the needs that enhance your business. We're about, you know, we're in Brexit now as well, so we have to encourage the sustainability within our county and keep our talent pool within our county, and that's sort of the ethos of Gradforce, really. So yeah, happy to do that. Katie, Amber, got anything to add?
Another question. So, you know, the fee that you've mentioned, the fixed fee of £600 for the service and some sort of other training. Any other trainings that would be an additional fees? And then also, after sort of recruitment and recruitment process and the placement, there would be the monthly salary fee for you know, the student or the graduate. Would that be sort of like how you would find in corporate companies, sort of a monthly fixed fee, or could it be part-time?
I mean, it's £600 just to recruit. You don't have to pay a monthly fee, and some of the training will depend what training you require as to how much that costs. For example, we have 3 members of staff who we've trained to deliver bell bin training to organisations, and we have to pay bell bin for the workbooks that come with it. Mm-hmm. So we would have to pay, and we would have to charge you know, a small fee to enable us to do the bell bin training, because we have to pay for the workbooks. For example, when we did it with our team of 18, I think there was of us at the time when we did it, it seems so long ago now, that costs me £6,500. But in Gradforce, I also paid 3 team members to be Belbin accredited trainers. So to make our project sustainable and value for money for employers, we now have staff that are trained to deliver mindset, Belbin, and all sorts of disability confident mental health first aid to organisations, which mean that we can then, you know, our university is not about making loads of money, but we have to sustain our project. So the £600 recruitment fee is literally to recruit, as you would pay a recruitment agency, but you become part of the Gradforce family. So you can help us develop our programme, and if there's training that you feel that's missing, then we will source that training as well for your organisation or your, you know, individual people in your organisation. But the salary, paying people salary, it's something that we can discuss. We don't have a finite budget, but there are, you know, things in place that we can look at, but that would only be a, you know, first month or something or whatever to help. But at the moment it's, you would pay the £600 for the full recruitment service, backup support for a year from us for you and the student, and also access to free training or extremely discounted training. And I said the reason that we have to charge for some of it is because we have to pay for the toolkits to deliver it. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else got anything else they want to ask?
Sorry, apologies. I'm in between homeschooling and the.
Oh, bless you.
I might have already missed the answer for this. So because I'm quite new, I'm still establishing the business, and I'm looking to one of the posts that I will need to recruit for is a social media and salesperson. So if I'm to use a graduate, what will be my charges as an employer?
To use one of our graduates, it's, as I said, it's a £600 recruitment fee. And what you get for that fee is the whole recruitment process. So we can go through and compile, we're just recruiting for exactly that post ourselves. We could, help you compile your job descriptions, the person specs, we can shortlist for you and send you, the top 5 people that we feel match what you need, and then whatever you need as part of your recruitment process. And then ongoing, you've signed up to the Gradforce program, so you then have access to any of our training sessions or support that you need from us throughout the time that you are with Gradforce. And also so does the student. We support for up to a year, but our students also can access support from our career service for up to 3 years after they graduate. But from us, it's a I don't know if Katie can go back to the fee thing, but for us, it's we want to test this model on this headhunting matchmaking model, which is usually associated with big corporate companies that go out to headhunters and find the right person for the role. Well, that's what we're going to do, but we want to do it for our small businesses in Kent with our students, because we have amazing talent at this university, which we want to highlight to SMEs of what that talent is. But this service is effectively a headhunting matchmaking service, so we know that we will send you the right people, and then that's up to you to decide who you recruit from that. But it saves you sifting through, all the applications that I've just had to sift through for the marketing role that we're recruiting for. So you don't have to do that, because we can do that for you and make sure, because we know our students as well. So
Thank you.
That's what you get for your £600, which, by the way, most recruitment costs about £2,500 to recruit a person through a recruitment agency, or me recruiting through our own HRs who recharge that back to me. So maybe I need to recruit for our own programme. It's costing my budget £2,000 to recruit our new posts. So that's just to give that flavour, that when I recruit, I'm paying the same amount of money that you would pay to recruit, but our project is not about that. And this model, if it works, which is why it's essential that we need, the support, or we need to know, like Katie said, what's missing, what do you want from us, what can we do better, where are the gaps in this that we can improve on, because this is the model that the OFS are liking at the moment. So we want to make sure that we deliver a model to them that will be used throughout the universities in the country, because it's a model that works for SMEs. So we can't deliver that model without SMEs telling us, well, yeah, this bit's all right, that's never going to work, or etc. So that's why we've got this webinar series, but also, tackling difficult issues around, underrepresented groups as well. So.
Thank you, Louise. Just another, just final question. So in terms of their salaries, is there any stipulation of where the starting point in, or it's up to the company?
I mean, that's really up to the company and the role. I don't know, Katie, if you've got any sort of input.
Yeah, I mean,
a bit more.
I obviously understanding that a few of you have startups, so perhaps this is not something that you've had to deal with before, and very valid question. I think, as Louise said, it very much would depend on the role and what it is that you're asking them to do as part of that role. So you would look to pay in line with the level of responsibility. and we can help you with that in terms of when we're looking at defining the roles. We can kind of give our advice in terms of what we think would be an appropriate salary, but ultimately that is completely your decision, and probably based on what you can afford from your budget. I think, generally speaking, one of the bits of research that we've done before about starting salaries, I think there's a big misconception that all graduates are paid like a ridiculously high salary when they have their first job, and that's not the case. I think the average is something like £18,000 a year for a full-time job. So you know, a lot of the big grad schemes, maybe they do say, oh, I'll start on 30k and all the rest of it, but that's not the norm. That's actually quite rare. So I think that's something else actually that probably does put businesses off, because they think, oh well, I definitely can't pay a graduate 30 grand a year. And it's like, well, we're not saying that you should for a second. So I think that's just conversations that we can have, and we can kind of you know, if you've got a specific budget and you want to fill a particular role, we can kind of look at it and say, well, I don't know, you're asking them to do all of these really like senior things, but you can't really justify paying them 12 grand a year kind of thing. So that's just something that we can work with you on, to kind of give you a sense of what is suitable and what is normal.
I mean, yeah, I mean, to add, you know, we are experienced in grading salaries in line with, you know, what the roles. We've just done it with the one that we're just about to recruit for a graduate marketing and comms, and because it's for the whole department, it's funded by Gradforce, but we need our whole department to work with us. We pulled that job description and spec together and then graded it and sent it through to be verified, because we have an HR department that can do that for us, but we are actually trained to be able to do those stuff. So it depends. Sorry, I got a bit of a cough today. It depends on the role, like Katie says. So we would grade that role depending on what you want. So you know, our role has come out at a certain grade because they are, and it all depends what autonomy they have, what decision making that you give them, etc., how that role comes out graded. But yeah, I mean, the average is 17,500, 18,000 for a start-up salary for a graduate, which is actually below the national average, which is 21. However, once again, it depends on the role that you're asking them to do. So that's something we would work with you on in working out the job description, the person spec, and you know, then we can say, well, actually, yeah, that's how much, you know, that should be. But mostly, I think, yeah, they start about 17.5, 18.
Thank you very much.
Did anybody else have any questions at all? Did you guys, is this your last slide, I'm assuming, with the questions?
We have another couple of slides just to promote the next session, so I'll go on to that now. So obviously, thank you everybody for coming along to this session. It is part of a series, as we've mentioned, and the next session is in 2 weeks' time on the 27th of January. It's a really interesting session. It's actually run by an external training company that we work with, who do really great things, called Mindset Practice. So it's all about building basically mindset and growth resilience in the workplace. So it's kind of an interactive session that will kind of give you some really kind of core things to think about in terms of how to get a mindset to help you and your business and your employees grow. Free to attend, much like this one. If it's something you're interested in, definitely do sign up. Again, the company we work with, they're really, really great, and you wouldn't get this for free if you went directly to them. So definitely something to think about. And then on our next slide, just got some contact details for us. So if you did have any questions afterwards, or you want to have a chat with us about any feedback, or indeed if you do have any questions about actually taking on a graduate, you can email us at the address on the screen. Also, please do follow us on our LinkedIn page. We do post updates on everything that's going on with Gradforce on there, so it's just a great place to kind of get information on us, really. But other than that, I think that's it from me. Don't know if anyone else in the team has anything they wish to add.
No, just thank you very much for attending, and I hope you've got a little bit better insight into Gradforce, and spread the word. Tell all your colleagues to attend our webinar sessions. You really will get a lot out of them. We've put a lot of thought into them, and they do follow a process, and I think we all need a bit of mindset right now, and they're absolutely brilliant organisation. They're so good, and that's why they keep us so positive, you see, in these horrible times that we're in right now. So and thank you very much for coming along, and hopefully we'll be working with each other moving on. So
thank you all. Can I just ask if we've got a couple of positions we are recruiting for, so if somebody could get in touch with me, probably a good idea to get that.
Absolutely, no problem, we will do that, John. Thank you.
All right.
It was nice to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanessa, Werner.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.